Thank you for joining us. Kate?
All right, let's discuss this all. Let's bring in Congressman Mike Rogers, Republican from Michigan, and of course, the chairman of the very important House Intelligence Committee. Congressman, it's great to see you. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks, Kate. Thanks for having me.
Of course. We heard from Jim Acosta at the White House, kind of the three themes the president will be focusing on. He's going to be laying out his strategy. He's going to be discussing the real threat of ISIS. He's also going to be talking about new proposals to take it to ISIS, how the United States is going to lead the charge to defeat the terror organization. You have been briefed by both the CIA director, the director of national intelligence on the threat of ISIS. What did you learn from them? And have you heard anything about these new proposals of how to take it to ISIS?
Yeah, we haven't seen all of the final details, but you have to remember, even a year ago, we had been concerned, the Intelligence Committee and the intelligence community, about this buildup of these radical jihadists in eastern Syria. So the president's switch, it sounds like his language, his rhetoric is a little tougher, and it seems to be more understanding of what the threat really is. That's a good, this to me is a good start. Now we have to see what the details are. I hope he is not too restrictive tonight about the things that he won't do. This is a serious threat. We have 3,000 some individuals with Western passports in countries that have something called a visa waiver, meaning they don't have to go through any extra checks to buy a ticket, get on an airplane, come to the United States. Canada, there's some excess of 100 or so individuals that we know and believe could have the ability to come back to Canada, and they're just a drive across the bridge into the United States. So the threat is real. It's getting worse. The longer that they hold territory, the longer that they continue their beheadings and their brutality, they attract Westerners to this fight. So I think this is a critical speech for the president. And again, I hope he spends his time on what we will do and then leaves some room for some maneuverability on things that we may have to do. We're going to need special capability soldiers in places like eastern Syria and Iraq in the course of this if we're going to be successful.
So, Mr. Chairman, if the president comes out tonight, as you probably would expect him to, because he's given no indication, and well, he said over and over again, there will be no combat troops on the ground, no American combat troops on the ground. Do you think that's a mistake? Because that will be one of his "we won't go there."
Well, I think it's really a mistake if we get wrapped up into the what is boots on the ground. I think when you talk about boots on the ground, I'm talking about big military formations, divisions and brigades and battalions and companies and formation moving through and defeating an enemy. No one's talking about that. I do believe that we need our intelligence services and our special capability forces to have the opportunity, when it makes sense, to bolster and leverage Arab League partners, the Peshmerga, the Iraqi military, and I think it would be a serious mistake to take that completely off the table. I hope he doesn't do that tonight. I don't think that he'll do that tonight. I think there could be a way for it, and I think this may be the first time you could see Republicans and Democrats coming together on something as serious as our national security. I think that would be a good day.
A couple of points on that I want to get to. Airstrikes. We heard from Jim and we've heard from Elise, who's traveling with the Secretary of State. Both of them, their reporting is that it's possible airstrikes in Syria against ISIS coming from the White House, but it's not a done deal yet. Is that good enough for you if that's as far as the president goes this evening?
Yeah, and see, this is what I worry about. They keep throwing these catches out there. Well, I might be doing, I might not. The president tonight needs to lay the case. He really shouldn't be talking about battlefield tactics tonight, and I hope he doesn't talk about battlefield tactics tonight. He needs to make the case to the American people. This is a real threat. We've known this for a while. This is the president's opportunity to say this is a direct threat to the United States. We are, again, one plane ticket away from a major disaster in the United States. He needs to make that case. He needs to make the case to the Americans why Syria and Iraq, this is an organization that wants to take Jordan by public statement, wants to take Lebanon, wants to take Israel. They've already taken part of Syria and part of Iraq. This is an army, a terrorist group with an army. We need to treat it that way.
Well,
so I hope he makes the case and doesn't start saying we're going to do X and Y and Z and not the other things.
And you've talked about how serious the threat is, how important this speech is tonight. It's really quite amazing because if the president wants to wants to conduct airstrikes in Syria. He does not think, as they've said, that he does not think that he needs approval from Congress in what he's going to be announcing this evening. So he's not expected to get a congressional approval for what he's announcing this evening. But 1 year ago, when he was talking about just that, airstrikes in Syria, he thought he needed approval from Congress. What has changed, and why is Congress not stepping up and voting on this?
Well, I completely agree with you. I don't understand. I think this is a mistake if the president goes forward and Congress decides as a whole that they're going to acquiesce and sit on their backsides during this whole event. This is an effort to bring Congress to do what it's constitutionally mandated to do. And I do believe that if he's going to have serious action in Syria, he's going to need some level of congressional authorization or approval. I hope that's what they do. If they just take the easy road, and this is a hard thing, and it's hard, and that's why but in the process of doing a hard thing, Americans can come together on what the threat is and why it's so important to stay engaged in these kinds of messes in a small and effective way early, so you don't have a big and ugly way later. This is that time, I think, to show leadership, both from Congress and the president. And I hope we take this opportunity to step up and put that petty politics aside. This is as important a national security issue as I have seen in a very long time, and it's getting worse by the day. So the more that we stand by and find reasons not to have to vote on it, or the president not to have to be strong on it, I think this is bad for the United States, it's bad for our world image, and it's bad for our national security.
You lay it out very well right there. Mr. Chairman, it's great to see you. Thanks so much for the time this morning.
Hey, thanks, Kate.